Hello, my friends. I'm Rick, and this year's See the Table. Of course, we're looking at the Game Master's Book of Astonishing Random Tables. I guess this is by Ben Egloff, right? So I got this for 15 bucks, 14.99, and the suggested retail value on it says back here is 24.99, so $25. So I got this for 10 bucks off. And this showed up down at JC Dean Hobby a few weeks ago when I was killing some time between jobs. I stopped by there when I'm on the south side and I got a little money. I have a tendency to do just to see what's in his bargain boxes on his lower shelf. He's got a whole pile of Pathfinder stuff on there. And then there's some Call of Cthulhu stuff there too, but I'm not into either one of those. I have nothing against Pathfinder, but I've never played it, and I own nothing for Pathfinder. I wasn't in a position to buy any of it when it first came out, and there's a slew of stuff, and it's a close runner up for Dungeons and Dragons for anybody who's not a fan of Wizards of the Coast or Hasbro and the BS that they're pulling. It's worth your time and effort to look into. It's not quite what I'd not something I just couldn't see that I didn't have the resources, the money just to buy it for the sake of buying it. But that said, every now and then I get good books that crop up in there. This was one of them. And this one here was created not that long ago. I don't know what the exact publishing date is on this particular one, but this is something they would have got, I believe, through an RPG drive-through. And we have I don't see if there's a publishing date on it yet or all. I like stuff like this because I have created, a matter of fact, a good significant portion of my role or my would-be game Interstellar Frontiers is based off of charts and things along this nature. So this kind of rolls up right in there. So 300 unique roll tables to enhance your world building, storytelling, locations, magic, and more for 5th edition RPG adventures. And I use that term, they use that term specific. I'm going to say this would apply to a lot of games. You could probably adapt this fairly well. Like I said, I don't see any publisher information. Generally speaking, even when you self-publish a book, folks, you should have that little section where it talks about things like copyright and the original publishing date, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, yeah, here we got theirs. They got stashed way in the back. Media Lab books, ISBN numbers, things like that. Let's see, copyright for 2023. So this has it's only been a couple of years. And I remember last year seeing Ginny D had wrote the forward to it because she was talking about it. She actually did a video on it, I believe. So nearly every off the cuff question that was ever stumped me as a GM, large or small, could have been resolved in a dice roll or two with this book. There are lots of random tables out there, but few as creative and comprehensive as these. And it says Ginny D, YouTuber, tabletop gamer, singer, and cosplayer. JinnyD.com. So yeah, I mean it really popped out when I saw when she was talking about last year, and I looked at my list of things I wanted to buy, but I just didn't have the money to justify it. And so to see it pop up in Jay's and their bargain bin was very surprising. It's just because this is not a product that was sold to the game store itself, or that the game store had bought to resell. So somebody had ordered this through the internet, and then for one reason or other decided it wasn't their gig, or they just wasn't happy with it, or they used it as somebody else bought it for them, and then they took it to Jay's to get store credit on something they did want. So it worked out for me real well. When are you going to GM? Goes on there. It says here, it's early 2022 and I'm in the UK. As a veteran voice actor in video games, anime, and animation, I'm often at Comic Cons like this one on the weekends. These days, I'm busier than ever because I just finished my nearly year-long run in the hit D&D live play shows, Extrodian Unlimited and Critical Role, thrusting me into the TTRPG. So this fella was on, he's on Critical Role. Good for him. And All right. As well, meeting friends from around the world globe is perhaps the best part of my job. I can answer most questions about any show or game I've ever worked on, but this one catches me a bit off guard. I loved you at the table, he explains. You're such an interesting player. I'd be excited to see what you could come up with as a game master. Oh, I replied, a bit timid, not wanting to disappoint him. I gave a non-committal answer. Well, it sounded like fun, but I just learned to play, and I don't think I have the skills yet. Ha, he says, playing playfully scoffs with a friendly smile. I jammed for the third game I ever played. Right, so go on and go on and go on. So yeah, I mean that's kind of how this stuff. A lot of game masters get started as a player, and then curiosity or necessity crops up, and it forces them to either want to learn, encourages them to learn, or they're kind of thrust into position. So, like I said, when I first started as a kid, I was 9 years old, 10 years old, somewhere in that window, 1976, 77, when we were borrowing my best friend Richie's older brother's bass book from the white box set, and we were trying to figure out how to play. And then his brother bought the very first basic box set that came out right that same year that it came out, and then that one, and then Richie and I would quote borrow that book on Wednesdays for an hour, and we'd run these impromptu games at the tables with Richie running the show. He was being the game master. It was from that book that I got TSR's address that I was able to write away for a catalog. And of course, my was going to buy the basic box set for me and for Richie so we could play whenever we wanted to. But I bought Gamma World instead first, and we ran that and played that for a while. And it turned out almost immediately I ended up having to be the game master because it was my book and my box, and Richie was he started buying Traveler instead because his brother was in Traveler, and so we kind of he ran Traveler games, I ran Gamma World, and then when D&D came out, we both got a box set, and then so we took turns running different campaigns and things like this, and this went on through the late 70s into the early 80s up until high school, and then when he turned 16, about circa 1983, Richie was. I love Richie to death, and I'm sad that I don't have any contact with him these days. Haven't had contact with him in over 30 years, and maybe a little longer, and it's sad. But there's not much I can do about it. I made the attempt to cross that bridge again, but it's just not going to happen. One of the problems was the young lady he was dating back in high school. First off, when you think of a geek, visually speaking, Richie was your ultimate geek. He was thin as a rope. He was tall, skinny, buck teeth, thick ass glasses. Just saying. Then he met this gal who was a year older than him, weighed about 4 times his body weight, and she was very arrogant and very aggressive in some ways I didn't care for, and so I did not get along with her whatsoever, and that's what kind of put the kibosh on him and I getting together on a regular basis. And then I started dating my ex-wife to be, and he couldn't stand her either, and so it become life got in the way of our friendship, and it paled. And then we didn't see each other again for about a decade until a mutual friend of ours from high school, who had class 1 diabetes, passed away. And we went to his funeral. And my current wife, that I'm with now, we'd just gotten married at that point. And so we went with everybody and met with Richie and his spouse, and just never connected. And then flash forward another 7, 8 years, talk about 2001. I was in community college at that point. The company I worked for had a strike. It fell apart. I got through the United Way. I got money from the government to go to school. So I went and took 5 semesters of computer-aided design, CAD tech. And was during that period of time that Richie was working on a computer system. He was installing upgrades or something to the classroom school master computers, and he was busy, and he didn't even. I tried to talk to him. I tried to be nice to him. He wouldn't even give me the time of day, and the door had been shut at some point, and some doors you can't reopen. And it is what it is. So when I saw this book on the shelf, I thought, oh yeah, I like this sort of thing. So welcome to the Game Master's Book of Astonishing Random Tables. No, the Game Master's book is a many things. First and foremost is a spark. It's here to help you make the inner workings of your creative mind and put them on display for those around you. It'll do some of the work so you can focus on creating epic stories for your players. It is at its core exactly what is called a book of astonishingly random tables. These tables add spontaneity to your sessions, a bit of tension to already tense situations, and a touch of chaos. So there's a whole lot of people. It's like random encounters. They equate random encounters as a bad thing. And if you don't use, if you just use them willy nilly at random, then literally at random, then no, it can, yes, it can be a problem. It can be disruptive. It can break the vibe because you have encounters for things that don't suit the environment or the situation you're in, or just for the sake of it. Oh, well, we're on our way to do this. Well, just for a lark, let's go ahead and roll this to see if we get some random thing happen. Sometimes that's okay when things are slow and there's not a lot of, meat on the table. When there's things that are busy and there's a lot of already in-depth stuff in play, the players are really bent on something, tossing random stuff in is not necessarily to your advantage. It doesn't always fit the bill. This is where I make that argument that if you have micro charts or you have a random encounter chart specifically for that scenario environment that you're in, now we're talking somebody who took that concept to the next logical step table, or excuse me, next logical step, and created a blasted book to share with everybody else. What this book is not. The Game Master's Book of Astonishing Random Tables is not a definite work on how to create a world or setting or a session. You're the arbitrator, your entire blah blah blah. This book is not responsible for player death. That's you again. A fifth level fireball dropping in a party as a result of wild magic surge is hilarious when every player is fully rested, has 90 hit points. It's less fun when they're all first level or first time players. You see, we're back to knowing your cable, knowing your players, and knowing when certain things are okay and when it's not. So that makes those arguments. So I would never alter a roll because BS. If your roll fires off, if some random thing happens that just totally outguns, outclasses the group, and it's going to be anticlimactic or detrimental to the continuation of the game, let alone the campaign, let alone the game itself, by all bloody means, alter it, change it, adapt it. So that fifth level fireball was not appropriate for a group of first level noobs. So maybe we need to ratchet down that fireball to a first level fireball so it's appropriate, or at least a second edition or a second level fireball so everybody gets damaged pretty bad and they have to deal with this scenario, because that's a learning curve too. So we talk about chapters and section on this thing. Let's go back here for a minute and take a look at it. Like I said, you can get this off the internet. I believe you can get it through RPG Drive-Thru for sure. So we got Chapter 8, World Building, or page 8, starting with page 8, World Building, Defining Magic, Building a Planet, Building a Realm, Forms of Government, Population Type, Building Populations, etc. Page 80, Session Building, Random Encounters, Chase Complications, Side Quests, Skill Challenges. Page 152, Magic and Miscellanies, Bell and Scrolls, Positive Negative Potions, Items of Personality, Dreams, Gift Curses, Pickpocketing, Variant Wild Magic. So under Dreams, Nightmarish Dreams and Pleasant Dreams, Prophecy, Reincarnation, Strange Mutation, Tools of the Trade, Heraldry and Crest, Books, Art Objects, Wares that may not strictly be legal, Location Upkeep, Drinking, Carousing, and Consequences, Shipwrecks, the Weird, the Wild, and the Random, such as Weirdos, Hermits, and Wanderers, Rumors on the Street, Hags in Their Lairs, I Wouldn't Touch That, Gelatinous Cubes, Atmospheric Enhancement, Hallucinations, Useless, Junk, Portals to the Unknown, Gravestones. And then we have page 230. We have One Shot Adventures, Never Tell Me the Odds, Animated Defense, and Things Are Not What They Seem. And then, of course, the index at the very back. So, very good. And we have, opening here by Robbie Damon. Introduction. Welcome to the Game Master's Book of Astonishing Random Tales. What it isn't, what it's not, how to use the book. World building. So you want to build a campaign setting from scratch, but have no idea where to begin. Relax. Let the gods of chaos, or a few dice rolls, do the work for you. So that's the thing that I've always loved about those kind of encounters, and that's also random tables, which is why they perform so heavily in my would-be game. Because in order for me, if you're going to play a solo game, for example, one of the hardest parts of running a solo game is spontaneity and having something happen that you didn't concoct yourself. Right, so having access to something like this would be awesome because then you can trust the dice or leave it up to the dice to alter your solo game experience so you yourself are not 100% in control of everything. If you're a total control freak and that's your gig, so much for it. But I'm not, and I want that spontaneity. I want some of that chaos factor involved and built in. So, like determine the domains. So let's talk about deities, building a pantheon, how you can set it up. This God presides over knowledge, life, light, nature, temperance, war, death. And if this doesn't fit for you, you get yourself a piece of cardstock and tape a little thing and add a whole lot more to it. It's not rocket science. Or stick one over here. Divine status. Now, a D20, this God is losing followers and being forgotten, or secretly trying to seize power, or is going mad, or detached from the material world and interested only in their personal pursuits, etc., etc. Defining magic, and so on and so forth. There's so many options here. Then we get into building a planet environments. And they take it to the next step on some of this. So we have a temperate forest, 1D through 20, and then mountain, desert. All right. So it's just all right. In the swamp, we roll a huge whirlpool of sand called the tug, or we roll a 16, a region dominated by massive stone arches streaked through with azure gemstones. And nobody knows why or what they may or may not do. Or we have swamp and marshlands. Here's number 7, a quarry where gold veined black marble is abundant but hard to mine due to all the tentacle creatures layered nearby. Or entry number 4, ancient trees or branches forming intricate cages house pulsing lightning bugs. Right? So we got Arctic grasslands, the hills, building a realm, country configuration. You want to know the 6 medium continents, 2 large continents, and 1 large country that spans the entire continent. Whatever. GM note: war, a campaign unto itself, countries and conflicts, forms of government, authority and leaders, democracy, oligarchy, monarchy, aristocracy, whatever, theocracy, communalism, things like this. Large cities, small towns, villages, population types, unique government agencies. Right. This one's always fun when you get into a larger urban environment. How do you have the cookie cutter basics that you find in most governments, but how you cut something a little more unique? So here's a unique government agency, a crew of highly specialized gnomish accountants who ensure that every copper of the treasury is where it belongs. Or number 8, an order of paladins responsible for the regulation and sale of magic items. Imagine having that as a government entity, and you step into a major urban an era, and you're immediately the local tax collector starts going, so how many magic items do you got? And you start hedging your bets. Next thing you know, you get paid a visit by the paladins of the order, who will find out exactly what you have and how much you need to pay the city, or maybe you need to surrender those magic items because they're too dangerous for you to be allowed to have them in the city, kind of thing. So population type, starting from a settlement all the way to a mega city, always nicely defined stuff. Building a population, city shape, notable and unique defenses, additional languages, general architecture, predominant roofing materials, decoration styles, residential construction, permanent construction materials, architecture by region. Yeah, see, they got quite a lot of range on this stuff, creating an economy, wealth and poverty, taxes, random stuff, trade relations, resources, armaments, alcohol, gems, magic items, livestock, precious metals, more gems. Nice little charts, all of them. It's a really good There's some really good art in here too. Of course, if this is one of them fellas from Critical Role, he's got deep pockets. Of course, of course, this stuff looks professional. Creating custom laws and their consequences, strange and unique customs, Yeah, I'd like to talk to this guy. I really would. I'd love to trade notes and things like that on this stuff because I really like this kind of stuff, and I have long thought that I should make my own versions of these and self-publish them. And of course, I have a lot of things that I've made and want to self-publish that just can't seem to get them over the hump. And I don't see the value in starting yet another damn project if I can't complete the damn projects I've already got going. Local businesses, right? And we have what do we got here? The tavern, inn, or club generator. So you got names, for example. We could have the wonderful lass, or the wicked minstrel, or the petulant boot. Okay, then we have this D100 of just things, right? Number one, a slender barroom that's only standing, but a slender barroom that's standing room only. The local hemophilic support group. So it says description, regulars, marketing hook, and complications. So a slender barroom's that's only standing room only. And I've seen these places. I've serviced a few. I actually service a few. They barely can call them a bar. I mean, they just don't have that much space. Local hemophilic support group meets here every day, I guess. Marketing hook. Everything is covered in a protective padding. And complication. The new barmaid is fairly clumsy. Or we come down here to where it says a cheery bar with big round tables encourage patron intermingling with two budding anthropologists who are working on their thesis. Thumb wrestling every night, contested dexterity, sleight of hand, plus strength and athletics. The best 2 out of 3 advances, and then the beer supplied by competitors causes spontaneous tap dancing, an irresistible dance with a DC 14. The duration for 8 hours. Good lord. Yeah, okay. And you just so we got all right. Entry number 25. A family-style feast house fit for a fiend. A trio of triplet sisters who routinely finish each other's sentences. All contacts made inside are magically binding. All contracts. For reasons that are not understood, it is impossible to tell a lie within this tavern. Good place to stay away from. Just saying. All right. Yeah, see, all right, here's 35, a four-story entertainment hall with a casual vibe, bowling in the basement, and a stage on the third floor. A group of 9 very old men who run bets on local bowling matches. Great food, energetic shows, and peerless entertainment, but a flock of aggressive ducks have taken over the first floor tap room. Nobody wants to cheese them off, right? So, I mean, that's a huge amount of entries just for taverns and bars, right? Awesome stuff. Guilds and unions, organizational structures, influential guilds. Then it breaks them down, some more stuff in there. Now, the fishmonger and net makers guild names, it could be the net slingers, the sisterhood of the silken line, brotherhood of bait fob, the steam collective of the lucky net. You gotta love stuff like this. And these things could be repurposed for numerous other scenarios and situations. Local color, unique color, unique local cuisine and techniques, right? So 22, a flaming alcoholic drink that is laced with watered down phase spider venom. Sure. Number 40, burnt bread with moldy cheese. What? Uh, right? Scallion fritters, whatever those are. 68. Soft shell crab stuffed with spicy sausage, breadcrumbs, and herbs served in a highly acidic broth that dissolves the shell as you eat. Yeah, you sure you're gonna eat your teeth too? Dissolve your teeth. Points of interest, city points of interest, right? A large floating temple or government building, a huge clock tower and orrery that both tells the time and depicts the movement of the planets. Ornate auction house that sells treasures from far off places. A central hub where all sorcerers route letters, mail, and magical communication to a wider world. And we got the underbelly of your city, religious cults, outsiders and outcasts, secret societies. The list just endless of what's in here. I read through it quite fast. I mean, I didn't read verbatim every entry because that would take more than I wanted to do. But I read through enough of it and the main entries to get a gist of that. This is very thought out, and there's a lot of possibilities here. Session building, you know. So we get the Arctic conditions, and then they quantify these by level. So if you have an Arctic conditions from level 1 to 4, for example, number 10, broken ice encrusted ruins haunted by a ghost who simply wants to shift somewhere a little warmer. Then we have the same Arctic random encounters, but levels 5 to 10, and on the 10 it says a psychotic mage who summons 1d4 bearded devils upon seeing the party. Then we move on to Arctic random encounters, level 11 to 16, and then we'll look at 10, 1d4 plus 1 frost giants in a realm shaking foot race, right? And then we come to Arctic random encounters, 17 through 20, number 10, 1d4 plus 1 rocks fighting midair over the carcass of a giant elk. And so we go through all the major biomes in here. So once again, we got coastal regions, desert regions, temperate forests, jungles, grasslands, mountains, hills, swamps, underground. So underground, let's see, number 6 for levels 1 to 4, 2d4 dwarven veterans clanking down a tunnel tracking a Druger raiding party who stole valuable treasures. So we have random underground encounters, level 5 to 6 or 5 to 10. Number 6, a web choke cave where 2d6 giant spiders wait for something to stumble into their trap. Then we move on to underground and random encounters, levels 11 through 16. The entry number 6. 2d4 dwarves desperately trying to clear a cave in. Screams of it's trapped in here with us can be heard from the other side of the collapse. Then we move on to underground random encounters, levels 17 through 20. 1d8 plus 2 earth elementals trapped in a cavern by arcane symbols on the wall. So, I mean, you see this is brilliant stuff. It's very well thought out. We got an urban section in here, urban on foot, urban mounted, you know, D20, number 1, you spook a horse as you run by it and it lashes out with a heavy kick. Make a DC 12 dexterity saving throw or take 8 2d4 plus 3 bludgeoning damage. And the horse kicks you in the ass because you ran by too fast, scared it. Section 10, or number 10, a choir of children precedes a large religious parade that fills the streets in both directions. Make a DC 12 strength, athletic, or dexterity acrobatics check to push your way through. On a failure, your path is blocked for 2 rounds. Now, urban mounted, urban in vehicles, sewers on foot, open wilds on foot, open wilds mounted, in the water, swimming, underwater swimming, aerial flying on a mount, bounty hunts, rescue mission. Yeah, right. Skill challenges. And we got from the top rope, a star is born. Race to death out of the park. Tumbling dancers, not the goslings. Near a storm drain or a manhole cover, the party hears a panic honking. A bunch of goslings fell through the cracks and are stuck in the drain. Freeing the birds requires 2 DC8 strength athletic checks to pry the drain cover up and move it. And on a success, the goslings are freed. However, all 8 imprint on the most unlikely member of the party at the GM's discretion and begin to follow that person everywhere they go. Other solutions to this sad situation are at the GM discretion. See, this is the kind of goofy stuff that comes up and sticks with people for a long time. Right off the bat, had Kenny been playing at my table and this thing had come up, Goslings would have been printed on him because he's about the most unlikeliest person for that sort of thing to happen. And he absolutely, as a real person, would be annoyed to bejesus by this, especially when the stupid thing starts squawking at him and following him around all the time. He would get frustrated pretty quick. He's also gentle enough that he would not do anything to them other than just maybe grumble and growl at them and maybe try to get them to find somebody else as a home, right? As opposed to other players that I've had in the past who would either outright ignore them, shoot them, eat them, or try to sell them. So whatever works for them. Lots of options, so no sleep for the wicked. It's a marathon. Test subjects wanted, a day of beautification. Follow the clues. A helping hand and a sharp eye. Polly wants an affirming word, man's best friend. Just a simple scavenger hunt. Small and shifty. Which way did they go? High stakes and great rewards. And small and shifty, a child perhaps 10 to 12 years old stands on a street corner singing beautifully and begging for change. At his feet is a burlap sack held together by mere threads, into which he collects his donations. DC 15 Wisdom Insight, which check will reveal the child is trying to lull people into a false sense of security. DC 6 Wisdom Perception check reveals the child is pickpocketing those who drop coin into his bag. DC 16 Charisma Persuasion check allows the party to recruit the street urchin as an asset. For a few coins a month, the child will pass on the party intel, a caring message, and guide them through the secret shortcuts in the city. A successful DC 8 Charisma Intimidation check scares the child onto the straight and narrow. Right? Possibilities within possibilities. Gotta love it. Winning over the locals. Then we get into some more environmental hazards. Fantasy realms are full of dangerous hazards that have nothing to do with the killer bandits, strange monstrosities, or cruel ancient dragons that inhabit them. Right? So we look at Arctic environmental hazards. 14, you are suddenly pummeled by heavy gusts of Arctic wind. You must make a DC 13 strength saving throw. On a failure, you're knocked prone, pushing 15 feet backwards, and take 7 or 2d6 bludgeoning damage and 7 2d6 cold damage. You get your butt whooped on it. All right. Desert environment. 7, you see a great oasis ahead of you, believe it will be an excellent source of food and water. The fact that this mirage that acts like a spell, hallucinatory terrain, can be discerned with a DC 15 intelligence or investigation check. Okay. Jungle environment hazards, mountain underwater hazards. Number 8, a gentle swing forest of broadleaf plants stretches out in a 50-foot area. Any creature that enters this area becomes entangled and is restrained. They can only use their action to make a DC 19 strength or athletics or dexterity acrobatics check to escape. And if you're depending on something keeping you breathing, you might be in trouble. Diseases and some breakout onto black vein fever, earlobe pox, frame rack, shrinking sickness, festering flesh rot, magical hazards, tendrils of gloom, anti-magic myths, arcane well, transporting pulses, and it goes on, polymorphic fog. This is where you go into this fog and it converts you into something and you get to roll. You get into this fog and you fail your wisdom save or whatever, you end up getting converted into a camel. Right? Okay. Been going to damn days. Magic and miscellaneous. The weather's crappy outside. It started out sunny. It was going to look like it was going to be nice, and I was hoping to get out this afternoon. Normally on Wednesday, Sundays, like it is, I would take a nap right now this afternoon. It's going on 11 o'clock, 11:30 at the moment, so we're getting on noon. Normally, I'd be laying down around noon, 12:30, take a nap for a couple hours, because what else are you going to do? And I'm getting at an age where I enjoy my naps. Then I intended to get up this afternoon and go outside and work and put these damn fence posts in that I'm not going to get in today because of the weather. And then tonight and tomorrow night, I have to be up by 1:45, so I can be I need about an hour to get up, get woke, get dressed, get my stuff ready, get some breakfast in me, and get down to the shop by 3. And leave here at 2:45 because it's only about a 5-minute drive up the road to get to WSI. Probably about a half-hour walk if I have to walk it by foot. And I fear the day will come I will have to do that. But I drive up there and I meet one of my new coworkers and ride along with him on his grease route. He's going to start at 3 a.m. and probably be done around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. That's his goal. We've got 12 jobs on the schedule, and depending on how far apart they are, how close they are, depends on how fast you get to them and how much BS you have to do there. And then a lot of these places at night, we have keys that they've gotten so we can get into the buildings and do what we need to do and get out. Things I could never get or rarely could get achieved when I was working at Stone or at All Clean. It just didn't play out that way. So we can move around through it. This will give me an opportunity to see how these guys do this stuff. It shouldn't be any different than how I do stuff. I've been doing it a long damn time, and it's pretty self-explanatory. Where the changes come in is that they have electronic it's an iPad or a pad of some sort, and it you have, you go in, you take a picture of the job, then you can do the job, and you enter all the data information on your thing, and then you take a picture of the job completed apparently, and this takes you in and out at the place. And then there's a little one of them code things that you can scan using your phone, and I can't tell you the name off the top of my head what the damn things are. It's not something I use on my phone. So we have these stickers that go on the wall, or the refrigerator door, whatever closest to the grease trap that the thing won't fall off or get lost. Then you just scan in, and the customer can, or the inspectors can do a scan on that and pull all the information up on the when last time it was clean, the history of it, et cetera, et cetera. That's pretty slick compared to the manual paper versions that we would do, and the Excel spreadsheets we kept at All Clean. That was part of my my office stuff that I did every week, and keeping track of all that stuff. So this is all done digitally, and we'll see how much that improves the job or takes the job longer. This guy's pretty gung ho about what he does. He loves doing these weird hours, and so you have to be kind of a bit of a nut. I'm not gonna lie. I'm quite a lot of a nut, but just I get burnt. I've been burned out on some of the weirdness. I just get tired of it. So anyway, this overnight tomorrow. So Monday and Tuesday, we're gonna be running with him, and then I have some errands. I got a wife's got a doctor's appointment Wednesday morning, and then the company's having a bowling event in the afternoon on Wednesday. So I wanted to take the wife to that. And so I've got Wednesday off, and then no idea what Thursday and Friday's going to bring up to. There's nothing. They're supposed to be getting a schedule set up for me to do, and they've been supposedly doing that for a minute. Things are getting to where they need to get on that and get it happening. So magic and miscellany, cantrip scrolls, spell level for scrolls, lots of different scroll stuff. And then we have unexpected scroll results. So it's like type for roll number 14 damage table. Let's see, transmutation mutation. Roll in the transmutation damage table on page 157. Determine what type of damage is done. The spell that doesn't deal damage, it deals 2d6 radiant damage in addition to its other effects. So if you look at transmuted damage types, so piercing, slashing, fire, cold, poison, something went south and you suffered for it. Then we have positive, negative potions, beneficial potions, and elixirs, and then detrimental potions and elixir. You got 100 different random options. Mixed potions and interactions, right? Here, the potions transform into a ferocious acidic compound upon mixing. You suffer 1848 acid damage and 1848 necrotic damage as your insides begin to melt. Potions are ineffective. This is what happens when you mix two potions together when you shouldn't. Don't take both potions at once, kind of thing, let alone combine them. Then we got items of personality, good, sentient, magic personalities. Number 16, this item sentence is friendly and gracious, but not particularly knowledgeable about more complex subjects, believing that any obstacle can be overcome with teamwork. It laughs in the face of danger when it considers companions are at its side. And then we have evil sentient magic item personalities, and then we'll go with 9. This item is brave to the point of stupidity. It is convinced that it is invincible and tries to inspire the same in its wielder. It will risk anyone and anything to prove its ability and courage. As long as it survives, it will consider that a success, regardless of who else may perish. Right? So it's going to incite you to do some stupid crap, and if you die and you succeed, but you die in the process, the weapon thinks that it had a victory. They don't care about you. Right? And here's another one, number 12. Loud, boisterous, insulting. This item is only easily offended. It demands satisfaction, usually in the form of bloodshed, for any perceived slight against it. Slowly tries to infect the mind of its wielder with the same hair trigger. It craves blood and humiliation. Right? So personalities and items. Here we go. Various actual personalities. Number 6, Dragon Ironborn is an arrogant dwarven warrior who claims to have slain an ancient black dragon single-handedly. He is mostly full of it and was slain by the very dragon he claims to have killed. Right, and then we have objects living. So let's see. Number 11, Orlok the Ebon Blade is a legendary hobgoblin warrior, now aged and full of wisdom. His hair is braided and banded, and the warrior's top knot is gray with age. He walks with a dancer's grace and moves like a deadly hunter. He views the killing as a last resort. Right? So, teleportation mishaps, tavern in the mist, shunned it out of sight, too close for comfort, elemental excursion, the other us. The party finds itself in an alternate reality where things appear as a shimmering reflection of the reality they left. Suddenly, another version of the party appears before them as resulting paradox results in an explosion that deals 35 10 dice 6 force damage. Attempts to converse or connect with these alternate selves could have been disastrous or just hilarious. Consequences. At the GM description, the GM will then roll and determine where the party arrives. This could be avoid another bad. This reminds me of there's an episode of Red Dwarf. If you never watched the British space comedy Red Dwarf, you're really missing out. There's some really stupid crap in it, but that's kind of part of the point of it. But there's this one scenario where they go through. I don't know if it's a mirror in a bathroom or if it's just a portal that opens up in a bathroom or something. But they go through this and they enter a alternate version of the Red Dwarf, the ship, and in it, all of their roles are conducted or female. So in the male version, in the regular Red Dwarf, most of the crew is males or male facsimile, i.e. the robot's a male robot, and until later they get to Chikansky, I think, or a couple seasons she's there as part of the crew, but they go in there and they find the polar opposites of themselves, but they're all in female form with all the hilarity and crazy BS that ensues. And so that's the kind of thing that could potentially, crop up if we're looking for something a little lighthearted or something very serious. Because think of the Mirror Darkly, the various Mirror Darkly episodes from the Star Trek franchise, where you go into this alternate dimension of reality where you're the bad guys and everything is, evil and twisted. So there's a lot of real dangers in that sort of thing that could occur and happen. So we have a variant wild magic. All right, here, 41. A fire elemental appears in space within 80 feet of from the caster determined by the GM, who also rolls for its initiative. The elemental remains for 1d6 rounds. At the beginning of each of its turns, roll a d10 on a 1 through 4. The elemental attacks the caster or one of their allies. Yeah. Yeah, thanks, friend. Yeah, you brought us some firepower that wants to kill and eat us too. Yeah, all right. So, pickpocketing results. Pickpocketing. So let's see, on 32, a small homespun sack containing 55 gold pieces worth of foreign. So this is if you conduct random pickpocketing. So let's see, a crystal bottle with exotic perfumes, a silk pouch that contains 3 pieces of amethyst worth 100 gold pieces each. The stones are drawn together by a strong gravitational force. They refuse to be separated. Gifts, curses, the divine blessings. Gem note, powerful but not overpowering. Right? Then we have curses. There's 100 possible variations of a curse. You will tell your deepest held secrets to anyone you meet, leading with the hidden knowledge. Plants die everywhere you walk. They become brittle and turn to dust. Yeah, that'd be terrible. Charms. Right? Liquid clay slowly sloshes around inside this blue glass orb. As an action, you can spread the clay on your exposed skin, causing it to soak in. For the next 1d4 hours, you can change your appearance as per the effects of the alter self spell. Right? Pretty slick. We get to what we got here. What we got going on here? Right? Magic miscellany, pleasant dreams, nightmare dreams. Yeah. Pleasant dreams. You dream of feasting with legendary warriors, mages, and scholars from times long past. The food is amazing. You wake feeling comfortable, sated, and well rested. As opposed to, you know, and notice the nightmare entries take a lot longer, much more to them than these. Number 5, bright, painful light blinds you as you try to take in your surroundings. You're in a small, doorless room. The sound of reverberation, laughter gets louder and louder and louder until your ears and eyes begin to bleed. Right? Yeah. Constellations and heavenly portents, reincarnation results of and unexpected side effects. Uh, yeah, a goblin. Every time you sleep the next 1 to 6 days, your dreams are haunted by spectral messengers. They whisper unintelligent things. Their voices set you on edge. Roll DC 15 Wisdom saving throw at the beginning of each long rest. On a success, the messenger is simply human. A simple humanoid takes the shape of someone you know or knew. On a failure, messenger is terrifying and monstrous to behold, and his presence lingers in your mind and in your dreams. You're awake, gaining no benefit to the long rest and suffer 10 3d6 psychic damage. Right? Yeah. Judaic focus appearance, arcane focus appearance, tools of the trade, spellbooks, strange mutations, heraldry and crests, books, artworks, and other valuables, special items not displayed for sale. Number 4, this one is said to have been crafted from the stolen forearm bone of a great sorceress after her grave was robbed. Yeah. Then we have ballads, drinking, carousing, and consequences, the ballads and ditty song. 1 to 2 are Auntie Looked Like a Bugbear's Backside, a raucous song about a summer love affair. Verses 45 through 46, Jumping Jeremiah, a sea shanty about a small cutter that takes on a large pirate vessel and wins. Right? Cranky old angler. Drink names and generators, specially brews and cocktails. One good time too many. Music leads to drinking. Drinking leads to poor decision making. Dropping too deep into one's cups is a surefire way to invite trouble and unintended consequences. This is especially true in a fantasy world where all sorts of strange things can happen to you when you don't have your wits about you. Should one of your party members take their evening of drinking and revelry a bit too far at the jam description, have them roll a d20 and consult the following table. So let's take a look. Phew. Oh, 17. You wake up in your bed the next morning, hungover and a bit disheveled. Your pants are on backwards, but you generally content as you walk around town. People blush and point out, and you're clearly talking to you about you in low voices. You later learn you strut around at town at night before several hours in your birthday suit, singing loudly and proposing marriage to anyone you came across. Yeah, that's the sort of thing. All right. Ships and shipwrights, strange things in a shipwreck. Right. A barnacle and coral encrusted mechanical bull. 73 left boots from various pairs. Right? That would be weird. Weirdos, hermits, and wanderers. Dim Rudel Krupp is a goblin priest who preaches the way of charity and generosity. Most people tolerate his presence, but the poor and downtrodden can always rely on him for a fresh bite to eat and a couple spare coins. Right? The goblins you don't know. Rumors on the street. Street urchins are worshipping humanoid effigies made from garbage all over town. Or the sheep and goats are conspiring. Oh my God, what could that mean? That's terrible. Put an end to them goats. Hags in their lairs, I wouldn't touch that. Things you definitely shouldn't touch. A remote, shimmering, glimmering, multifaceted light. Concussive blasts and explosions of light shoot from the item. The individual touched the item must roll a DC 13 Constitution save, or saving throw become blind and deaf for 2d12 hours. At the end of every hour, the creature can re-roll the saving throw, ending the effect with a successful save. Some pretty slick stuff here. Anxiety-inducing creepy occurrences. I'll say 13. For a brief instant, you hear disembodied voices speaking over one another, growing louder and louder before they suddenly stop. Right? Or number 20, exposed sources of flame suddenly gutter and flicker as if you exposed to a great strong gust of wind, but there is no wind. Demonic demands. Number 7, the creature demands a handkerchief belonging to the highest ranking woman in the realm containing at least one of her fingernails, 3 strands of her hair, or two drops of her blood. Now, what the hell do you think a demon wants that, huh? What do you think? I think giants and their things. Gnomish inventions, oh Lord. Hallucinations. Portals to the unknown. Where did that come from? A blazing triangle of purple light flares and a portal to the lands of the Fae opens. A talking duck named Jerry falls out and looks at you expectantly. Gravestone markers. One shot adventures. Never tell me the odds. Party investigates a murder among killers. Animated defense. The mage tower protects itself a little too well. And things aren't what they seem. A sinister plot is uncovered by accident. So once again, this was a nice, pleasant find, and I this is something I could definitely put to use the day I get a chance to have another table of players to run. This is I like this sort of thing. I could see a modest success for a series of these things. I mean, really, just the one book alone, it's definitely full of stuff. This is worth your money if you can get a copy of it. No, I ain't getting a kickback. No, I don't know the people publishing the damn thing. No, I ain't Jenny D on her level of YouTuber stuff neither. Just saying, as a 50-year veteran of playing the games of many types, this kind of thing is a very useful tool both for experienced and jaded GMs like myself and noobs across the damn spectrum. And a little bit of adjustment, this thing can carry over to a lot of different genres because I could alter a lot of this stuff, just the wording a little bit to fit into most other games. So Shadowrun, Star Wars, you know, Merp, Middle Earth role playing, Twilight 2000. I mean, if obviously certain things you have to take with a large adjustment, but there's a lot of useful material in there. Anyway, I'm me, you're you. Greenway Mom is over here. It is definitely raining out there now, so much for me going out and working in the garden. Tell